David Cameron has won a decisive election victory. How will he interpret his mandate? Here with me is Janan Ganesh, the political commentator of the Financial Times. Janan.
It's an ambiguous mandate. If you go by the Conservative manifesto, it was quite a centre-right manifesto. It was all about fiscal consolidation, quite aggressive cuts, a lot of public service reform. But the country doesn't feel, to me, like one which wants a right-wing revolution. So the challenge for David Cameron is, does he govern moderately, but with a bit of reform on the side, which is what he has done for the past 5 years, or does he risk the danger of over-interpreting his mandate and maybe govern a bit to the right of where the British people actually are?
So this week we saw a reshuffle of David Cameron's cabinet. What lessons can we draw from the new personnel at the top?
Well, the clue there is that he might actually govern a bit to the right of what the public want. You've got a lot of Thatcherite appointments to the top table.
Sajid Javid at Business Secretary.
At Business, John Whittingdale at Culture. Michael Gove is back in the top ranks of Cabinet as Justice Secretary. Very talented people, big jobs, but the overall theme is towards the right of the party. And maybe it would have been wiser to include one or two appointments which took the edge off that just a little bit.
Interestingly, David Cameron himself was in a coalition for 5 years, and some people say you never saw the real David Cameron stand up. He was sort of in the middle and always could say, well, it's the thing is I'm having to rely on my Lib Dem coalition partners. Do you think we'll see the true colours of David Cameron in the next 5 years?
Well, this will be the fascinating thing about the next few years. In coalition, he had this thing called the Quad, 2 Tory ministers, 2 Lib Dem ministers. They would negotiate their way to an agreement. And he could always say, look, to his party, I wanted to deliver everything I wanted in a Conservative direction, but Nick Clegg and Danny Alexander haggled away 20% of it. Now it's a single-party government. It's an audit of what he believes in. And it'll be fascinating to know whether he is a one-nation modernising Tory or whether he's much more of an orthodox Thatcherite. And we should find out pretty early because there are some big decisions to take about European renegotiation, spending cuts, public services in the next few years.
And David Cameron did say, very importantly, invoked the United Kingdom on the day after the election result. And he's clearly got some very serious constitutional issues to deal with Scotland. He's got more than 50 SNP, Scottish nationalist MPs at Westminster. How do you think he will approach that?
Well, his dilemma is, does he devolve massive powers to Scotland, thereby opening the way for English self-rule as well, and effectively end up with a federal United Kingdom? Or does he try and hold the line a little bit and keep things broadly as they are? The more federal the country becomes, the more you think, well, if you're going to go that far, why not independence? And it's not that hard to imagine a referendum again in 5 years, 10 years, where the Scots Nats say, actually, given that we're governing ourselves to this extent, why not go the whole hog and become independent? So it's a strategic dilemma for the Prime Minister.
And on Europe, do you think that we will see an early referendum on British membership?
I think in the middle of the Parliament, 2017, there'll be a referendum because he needs that time to renegotiate, to get something back from Brussels.
And can he get a yes, or will he suffer a no?
I would be astounded if this country votes to leave the EU.
Janan Ganesh, thank you very much.